Hi, this is Danny Flexen and welcome to this week's edition of SecondsOut ReFLEXions. We're here every Monday, 4:30 p.m, to discuss the boxing from the weekend just gone. And this weekend, if you can call it boxing, a lot of hardcore fans that watch this may not, saw the highly anticipated, in some quarters certainly, rematch in Los Angeles, filled out the Staples Center between YouTube gods, if that's not blasphemy, it probably is, KSI and Logan Paul. And KSI came out on top after 6 hard-fought, maybe not technically brilliant, but hard-fought and entertaining rounds. Came out just on top via split decision after Logan Paul scored a knockdown in the 4th round, but naively, it's fair to say, struck his opponent while he was on the ground, got docked 2 points for an intentional foul by the referee, and that ended up costing him on the scorecards, leaving him feeling aggrieved, KSI feeling elated, but no time to rest on his laurels, as you'll see on Seconds Out. He's already been challenged by a reality TV star and an actual boxer in Tommy TNT Fury. You can see the interview, or part of it, with Tommy Fury on the channel now. I wouldn't recommend, and I said this to Tommy, I wouldn't recommend KSI take up this fight, although Tommy only had 12 amateur fights. That's a lot more than KSI, and he has been training since a very young age under John Fury and with his older brother Tyson Fury, kind of luminaries to train from there. But yeah, we can all move on now. Hardcore fans, it's done, it's dusted. We can look ahead to the big fights to come rest of this year, and there are a lot of them, so we're happy about that. And it really wasn't that bad. In fact, you could argue that some of the undercard fights between actual boxers were less entertaining than the main event. Billy Joe Saunders had a bit of a scare. He was behind on 1 scorecard, ahead on 2 going into the 11th round of his defence against Costeres from Argentina. Unheralded, but as it turned out, spirited challenger for the WBO super middleweight title. And Saunders seems to have a bit of an off night for whatever reason. His timing and accuracy weren't quite there, but he managed to pull it out, dropped the Argentine 3 times in the 11th round to get the job done. So when he really needed it, not known as a big puncher, but when he had to dig deep, he found those big shots to end the night of his plucky challenger. And he'll now look for the fight with Canelo Alvarez. Some people say he's harmed his case by how he looks. I'm of the other view that, if Canelo's been avoiding him because he's tricky, slick southpaw, this might convince him that Saunders is just hittable enough and just, the right sort of opponent that he will be able to come out on top against. Maybe that fight could happen. Obviously, we expect Canelo back out over the Cinco de Mayo weekend in May. Also on the undercard, Devin Haney made the first defence of his WBC lightweight title that he didn't win in the ring, of course. He was upgraded from interim status, I believe, after Vasyl Lomachenko became franchise champion. If you're not following all this, don't worry, it really doesn't matter that much. Devin Haney made the first defence against Santiago, who was pretty much, I think dominate is the wrong word. Haney won 120, 107 on all 3 scorecards, so he certainly dominated the scorecards. But his challenger really gave a good account of himself, and I think the rounds were competitive. Even though Haney was ahead in all of them, they were competitive. They weren't like walkover rounds. So he'll be looking for an opponent that can bring out more of him in his next fight. But remember, with Devin Haney, he's still very young, and there's still a lot more to come from him. Overall, the event didn't tarnish boxing the way some scaremongers would have you believe. It was a decent enough fight, entertaining enough fight, I should say. Not a lot of skill on display, but I don't think anyone watching it was expecting skill. KSI, whether he does carry on boxing or not, remains to be seen. I would advise him to, if he does so, to only do it against fellow kind of YouTubers and people with a similar low level of experience. No one wants him to get hurt. No one wants any of them to get hurt. But if they can earn money by harnessing the power of their huge audiences that, let's not forget, they built, then fair enough. Who can dispute that? As for Haney and Saunders, a lot of people in the build-up said they were pitting them being on the undercard of a farce and a nonsense. I understand that to an extent, but they probably made either the best or near the best purses of their careers. So I don't pity them too much when they're, driving home in their Lamborghini Hurricane, in Saunders' case, to their mansion. I don't know if he's got a mansion. I know he's got a Lamborghini. But either way, they've done well out of it. The YouTube's done well out of it. And now we all move on to the fights that really matter. Starting next week, of course, and you'll hear about this more on FlexPectations, Thursday at 4:30 p.m. Deontay Wilder's rematch with Luis Ortiz. I'll be back with ReFLEXions next Monday, 4:30 p.m. But in the meantime, comment below. Tell me what you think of the whole KSI Logan Paul show, Saunders' performance, Haney's performance, and who should be next for all the people I have mentioned. It's always a pleasure. I'm here at BT Tower this week, but don't expect that every time. It's usually in my not exactly palatial residence back home in Snodland in Kent. But yeah, comment below. Always a pleasure, and I will see you all next time. Thank you.